Thank you, James. Strictly by the numbers, you are more likely to hear a Chuck Rainey bass line than any other bassist in the history of recording music. But Rainey's influence extends far beyond his distinction as music's most prolific bassist. Across hundreds of albums and his extensive work in television, film, and commercials, Rainey has laid the foundational grooves for some of the most iconic moments. Further, he has accomplished this with a prodigious technique, creativity, professionalism, and humility that has made him a true legend of the American studio. Raised in Youngstown, Ohio, a regular touring stop for the bluegrass and R&B entertainers he listened to in his youth, Rainey began his musical training on piano, violin, and brass instruments. He learned to play the guitar during a stint in the military before finally coming to the electric bass in the early 60s. By 1963, he was playing with the King Curtis All-Stars, a group that just 2 years later opened for the Beatles on their second US tour. In the years to follow, Rainey would make an indelible mark as a session player, working with some of the most important figures in popular music: Aretha Franklin, Quincy Jones, the Supremes, Diana Ross, Sam Cooke, Donny Hathaway, Steely Dan, and the list stretches on. His hallmark style, full of rhythmic complexity, ghost notes, melodic sensitivity, slides, and thumb slapping, was quickly in high demand, and his reputation as a top-notch collaborator and consummate professional grew with each session. Chuck, without diminishing any other bass player, was the first chair of bassists for many decades, says Grammy-nominated producer Gary Katz. As a producer, it's always a gift to have a musician in the room you know will deliver what you want without any question, and a gift he always was. His work on many of the Steely Dan albums, which I produced, remains as lesson plans for others to study. I'm proud to call Chuck Rainey my favorite bass player, and more importantly, my good friend. Indeed, for many years, Rainey has been committed to passing on those lessons. He authored the seminal 5-volume Complete Electric Bass Player instructional series, filmed numerous instructional videos, and devoted himself to educating a new generation of rhythm section players through Rhythm Intensive, which he co-founded in 2014 with Berklee alumnus John Anthony Martinez. Chuck's rhythmic and melodic DNA has permeated generations of music making, only to be transcended by his humble humanity and his love for teaching, says Berklee Bass Department Chair Steve Bailey. Chuck Rainey is bass royalty, adds Grammy-winning bassist Victor Wooten, a visiting scholar in performance, of course, here at Berklee. I would not be who I am. No, none of us would be who we are without him. In recognition of the thousands of recordings that bear his unmistakable sonic signature, his enduring influence on the development of modern bass technique and style, and his commitment to sharing his musical wisdom, I am pleased to present Chuck Rainey with Berklee's honorary doctorate of music.
Well, good morning, Berklee. It is indeed more of a pleasure for me to stand here in front of you, especially the graduates and your family. I've been in love with Berklee for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, I've reminded about maybe 4 or 5 of my friends to congratulating me on being here, but they spelled Berklee with Berklee. And I have to remind them that this is Berkeley, Boston, not Berkeley, California. Not saying anything about negative about Berkeley, California, but this is Berkeley, Massachusetts, and Boston. I'm very elated to be here. I got a call from President Miller, not a call, but an email, and I was so shocked. It was early in the morning, and I woke my wife up, and I said, I just got a letter, an email from the president of Berklee College. And she woke up and she said, it must be something important. And I said, well, it certainly is. I didn't really read it right away. I went and did some home chores that I had to do. And then I got a call from Steve Bailey, who's the bass chair here. And he asked me if I had read the email. And I said, not yet, I'm getting ready to. He said, good, because that gives him an opportunity to tell me what it was all about. And I was just so elated. I walked around the house like a Cheshire cat, grinning, walking like George Jefferson. I've had a wonderful career, And one thing I can say about my career that I would like to tell everybody that's listening is that I'm a musician. And nature and music has been a part of my life from the very beginning. I feel very special that I can remember back to when I was about the age of my granddaughter. And I can remember the love and attention I got from my grandmother and my mother and my 9 aunts, actually 10, with a lot of love. And I still feel that love from my grandmothers and my aunts. My life as a musician, I've played many instruments, but I ended up being a bass player. And I'm very proud of that because the bass is the bottom. It ain't a chord until I play. Along with being a musician, I always like to say, whenever I possibly can, that love, kindness, and gratitude have been a major part of my career in playing the instrument in organized music. Now, it's kind of hard to love, have energy and gratitude outside of your profession or what you do. But inside of playing music, I always had a lot of love for what I was doing, for my responsibility. I also had a lot of gratitude from people who appreciated me without telling me. You can always know when someone appreciates you. They don't have to tell you. Sometimes the ego wants to hear a lot of thanks and appreciation. But I learned how to get along with my ego a long, long time ago, thanks to my mother and my father. You know, the ego, thank you. The ego is something like your heart and your brain. It's almost like an organ, if you can look at it that way. You have to get along with it. You have to challenge it. You have to channel it. And you have to also let the ego understand that you are in charge, not the ego. Because the music industry is a business. It's a business. Although, once you leave here, when you get out into the world, you've already experienced politics and socialism. It's the same thing once you leave here, except it's a little different. Now, what the difference is, I cannot describe right now. You will find out that there are a lot of trials and tribulations you're going to have to go through in order to be successful. But as long as you love what you're doing, and when I say what I'm doing, I'm almost wanting to draw a tear, but I cried enough last night, by the way. But the thinking about, you have to love what you do. And a lot of the trials and tribulations are going to go over your head if you just love what you're doing professionally. And that's why you're here, to go out into the professional world and to do well with a lot of love and gratitude. A lot of people do not know how to say thank you. But they do say it. They can say it in their eyes. They can say it in appreciation as a musician when they hire you again. You know that they're thanking you for what you did before. But always be aware that you never can really know why you're hired and why you're not hired. It's a little bit different, but it's very personal. What happens to one person does not have to happen to another one in the same situation. But as long as you love what you're doing, the universe, you could say God, you could say whatever it is that controls your destiny, if you love what you're doing, you're going to be appreciated and be taken care of, even though it doesn't look like it at that time. During my life and during my career, I've run into so many situations where I thought it was the end for me. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm a stroke survivor. And a lot of that survival was because of my family. And I love them and my partners. A lot of love. I love you all, and I'm so glad that you're here. You're supporting me, and I do feel it. Even the little baby, although she's ignoring me, this is Grandpa. But love is very important, and gratitude. A lot of times you don't have to say thank you, but just by your personality and by your character, the person that you're thanking knows that they've been thanked. You know, I mean, they know that. They can feel it. So you don't have to be an English major. You don't have to go out of your way. Sometimes you can. But you have to understand that you're born, like all of us, everybody's born, but we're all different. We all have a different fingerprint. But we're still people. We all walk and we laugh, we talk, but we do it a little differently. So we are worthy of anything that we're trying to do. My profession is very, very difficult in a way because you have to understand the social side of why you're there and the political side of why you're there. And it's not easy. I am a good learner, but I had to learn a lot of things the hard way, only for a moment, only for a minute. It doesn't take you forever to find out that you can't sing. It doesn't take you forever to find out that you're not as good at what you think you're doing. It shouldn't take forever, and it doesn't if you and your ego have a little conversation, you know. I want to also say, before I leave here, that prayer is very, very important. I always remember my grandmothers praying, my aunts praying for everybody other than themselves. I also want to add to prayer is that being still sometimes is just as important as praying. If you're always asking for something, you're not receiving what's coming in. And I go that way with meditation and just being still for a second, not being so busy. We have to be still sometimes to let whatever it is you want to call it come in. And it helps everything. Everything. It helps you go by the hard times. It helps you realize good times and hard times. On Monday, things may work, but the same thing may not work on Tuesday or Wednesday. You know, life changes. You know, I have had many experiences, and I'm old enough to say this, and not that it has to happen to you the way it happens for me, but basically we're all the same. You know, to be still, and also do pray. Prayer is very important. I've come along this way in my music career by listening to nature, the sound of the rain, the pitter-patter of the rain, the wind blowing, the leaves rustling. It gives me a rhythm idea. It gives me, I'm just in tune with, I've always been that way, by the way. I don't like to brag on it, but as a baby, I came up listening to the rain, the leaves, the wind, smelling things that just influenced me to do whatever it is I was doing as a musician. As a bass player, you know, I tell you, the next time it rains, just be still for a second and listen to the rain hitting things. There's a bass line there. Or if you play a horn, there's something there. A lot of times it's very, very hard to be alone. I've never had that experience. I've never been alone, never. Although maybe alone from people. I remember when I was very, very young and I had pneumonia and I was in the infirmary or in the hospital, and I don't remember seeing, I don't remember at all my mother or my father or any relatives coming to see me, but I remember the smells that I smelled through the window, the sound of the rain and the wind, the thunder, the lightning, kept me very, very comfortable. So I brag about that, in that I've never been alone. Someone has always been with me, or something has always been with me. And I do love what I do. As time has gone by, I don't do as much of it as I used to do, because I'm just airplaned out, hoteled out. That's just the Four Seasons. But I've come to a place in my life to where I can look back and appreciate so much of my life and my career. This particular honor, I really am elated to get from such a prestigious school that's worldwide known. You know, a lot of people, when you say Berklee, they immediately set up. My business partner is an alumni here, and when I knew that he came from this institution, I knew that at least we were going to be good friends on the social side. But it's very, very important to realize where you come from. You come from Berklee. And when you go out into your profession, think about Berklee, where you came from. Give back when and if you can. It's very, very important, you know, to go back to where you came from. And you came from Berklee. And I congratulate you on taking however long it's spent for you to go through and get your degree. But congratulations to this class. I congratulate you. I want to thank the provost. I want to thank President Muir. And I want to thank, I don't know what to call, but I want to thank you all. You know, I want to thank you all. She's saying all these wonderful things about me, and I'm sitting there for a hot minute. I'm going, is she talking about me? And I know that she is, but my love for what I have done for the last 60-some years has all been immersed in love for what I do, for love for what I do. I want to thank everybody again. Before I go, though, your father, Leila, was very important to me. And I have done many recordings with him, and I love him dearly. His musicianship was impeccable, never wrong. Now, when you get into this business, you find very few people that are never wrong. He was never wrong, even if you disagree with him. He was a piano player, singer, and several times he would come behind me and put his arms around me and put his hands on the bass and say, Chuck, when you get here, look at it like this. Because if he hadn't done that, I would have had a problem. But I don't mind having problems when I'm working with people like him. And it's such an honor, more of an honor, to receive this prestigious degree with you. You know. I thank you also very, very kindly, and in borrowing a phrase from one of my dearest friends, David T. Walker, I wish you all to press on with a smile and enjoy yourself. You're supposed to have fun in what you're going to do. Enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Chuck Rainey is one of the most recorded bassists in history. Having appeared on more than 1,000 albums and soundtracks, his extraordinary body of work spans 7 decades and has blazed the trail for contemporary musicians to approach and create bass lines from a conceptual and imaginative perspective. Throughout his venerable career, Rainey broke the barriers of musical genres, creating some of the most original and captivating bass lines and techniques of all time. His classic tone and fine-tuned melodic sensibility are delivered with virtuosic mastery of the instrument. Through funky syncopated rhythms, trademark 3-note chords and sliding tenths, through his sublime lock and groove style and the iconic thumb slap. These techniques have shaped the foundation and created a blueprint of modern electric bass playing. If you find yourself bopping and grooving while singing along to a bass line on an Aretha Franklin or Steely Dan tune, chances are that is Chuck Rainey's work. Steely Dan had a wide array of session musicians for other roles, but Rainey's bass was the constant. Starting out as a classically trained trumpet and horn player, Chuck Rainey learned to play guitar during his military service and college years. Soon, he became a popular bassist in the 1960s New York scene, with more than 3 years in the band of legendary saxophone player King Curtis. During the 1960s and 70s, his signature sound and musical versatility led him to work with Sam Cooke, Etta James, Harry Belafonte, The Supremes, Louis Armstrong, and Aretha Franklin. In 1972, he joined Quincy Jones's big band, and his reputation for outstanding musicianship continued to grow, recording with the Rascals, Marvin Gaye, the Jackson 5, Donny Hathaway, Roberta Flack, and Steely Dan. Rainey's reputation led to his becoming a first-call session player for film and TV. As a bassist, arranger, and musical director. With 5 studio albums released under his own name, Chuck Rainey also has a lifetime commitment to music education. He founded and taught the bass curriculum at the Musicians Institute in California and has written columns for both Guitar Player and Bass Player magazines. His instructional book, The Complete Electric Bass Player, has been continuously in print for more than 35 years, inspiring and educating students internationally. In 2014, he co-founded Rhythm Intensive, a series of clinics for bassists and drummers, providing ensemble coaching, private lessons, and artist development. Despite his outstanding technical skill, Rainey has always believed in using his instrument to highlight the top-line melody and lyric of every song. He once described the role of a bass player as like the supporting actor of a successful film or the catcher on a winning baseball team. Chuck Rainey is a shining example of always serving the music first and has crafted an indispensable model of professionalism and musicianship for generations to come.
And now, please join us in honoring the most recorded bass player in music industry history, the legend himself, Chuck Rainey.
She technically home. Every apron had a number on the wall. You must be heard it all. You go to where they honor there and you do it alone. Could you live forever? Could you see the day? Could you feel your whole but fade away? Did that long get Charlemagne? Did that long get Charlemagne? These best of best belong in the jail. No test tubes in the scale. Just get it all out of here. Is there gas in the car? Yes, there's gas in the car. Oh, I think the people down low know who you are. Careful what you carry. 'Cause the man is born. Oh, you're still enough in their arms. Did that long get Charlemagne? Did that long get Charlemagne? You'll never